Hey guys, are you applying everywhere but not getting any interviews? Here's the truth. Your resume isn't just for recruiters. It also needs to impress something called an ATS, which is the Applicant Tracking System. Now, these systems can make or break your chances of landing a job. And this is before a human even sees your application. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to create a fresher resume that both ATS systems and recruiters will love. And not just that, I will also share a link in the description where you can download this fresher resume absolutely for free. Now, first of all, let's quickly run through what's an ATS. So ATS is a software that's used by companies to manage job applications. It scans resumes for specific keywords based on the job description to determine if you're a good fit before passing it to a recruiter or a hiring manager. And if your resume is not in a format that ATS can read well, your CV will be rejected and you won't receive any interview calls, unfortunately. Now, this is the number one reason to make sure you have a solid ATS-friendly CV. Now, let's talk a bit more on how this can impact your job application. As I mentioned earlier, ATS scans and filters out resumes that don't match the job description. So it's critical to make sure you have some important keywords from the job description. Otherwise, your application can be rejected as not a good fit for the role. Now, please do put some effort by updating your CV before you hit that submit button. And remember, even a well-written resume might not make it through if it's not ATS optimized. And what I mean by ATS optimized is keep the resume format simple and avoid any fancy formatting, images or graphics that ATS systems struggle to read. And another important step is to save your resume either as a PDF or a Word document to make it easy for the ATS systems. I prefer PDF as the format will be intact, but again, if some company asks for a specific file format, you will need to provide them as needed. Now let's get to business and go through a sample ATS optimized resume to understand what needs to go into your resume. Now let's start with the contact information section. This should be at the top of your resume, and it's super important to keep your details professional and up to date. Use your full name exactly as it appears on your official documents and no nicknames, please. And your email should also be professional. Avoid IDs with nicknames or a lot of numbers. Basically anything that looks unprofessional. And make sure your phone number is updated and includes the country code, especially if you're applying internationally. And if you have a LinkedIn profile, ensure it's complete and matches your resume. Also add a professional photo to your LinkedIn profile and customize your LinkedIn URL to something simple and make it easy to read. Now, most importantly, ensure your LinkedIn profile experience exactly matches what you put on your resume. And if it's relevant, you can also link to an online portfolio website, like if you have any personal projects to showcase, or your GitHub repo if you have done any coding projects. And here's a pro tip: avoid adding personal details like your photo or marital status or address to the resume unless the company specifically asks for it. Keep it professional and relevant. Now, next, moving on to the education section, make sure to include your degree, institution, and key details like the grade and years attended. If needed, you can also mention 1 to 2 subjects here if you think there are of any significance to the roles you're applying. For example, when I did my master's in computing in Ireland, I've highlighted key subjects like cybersecurity and business management that helped me when I applied to cybersecurity related roles. Similarly, if you want to highlight 1 to 2 subjects, feel free to do so here. And if you have any internship experience, it is very important to mention that right after your education, and mention your role, the company, dates, and your job responsibilities. For example, software development intern at X company and the dates you worked there, and also make sure to include your job responsibilities, but keep them minimal. Try to add 3 to 4 different bullet points covering the work you've done there, and make sure you make the most out of these points by adding some important job related keywords, and use action verbs like created, led, developed, etc. along with stats. Remember, your actions without stats might not mean anything, and it's important to quantify your work to show the impact you've created. And if you're a fresher with no formal internships, that's totally fine. You can still highlight academic projects or freelance work if that's relevant. And speaking of projects, list them in reverse chronological order, which means you list the most recent one at the top followed by the previous ones. And I'd recommend you keep this limited to 2 projects. If you have more, pick the 2 best from them and add it here. Now focus on the outcomes and impact. What problem did the project solve and what was the outcome? And use action verbs, guys, again like developed, implemented, and optimized to describe your work, which will be very impactful. Now next is the technical skills section. You have to organize them into categories here to make them easy to read. For example, you can lay them out by programming languages, web technologies, databases, and some tools you know. And if you have any relevant certifications, make sure to include them in this section. Now moving on to the final section, which is your achievements. Focus on things that align with the job. For example, if you won a hackathon or coordinated a college tech fest, you can mention it here to showcase your leadership and technical skills. And focus on things that align align with the job. For example, if you won a hackathon or coordinated a college tech fest, you can mention it here to showcase your leadership and technical skills. Number 1, for ATS optimization, tailor your resume by using keywords from the job description naturally. You can check your resume's ATS score on sites like resume.io, resume.co, or jobscan.co. Number 2, stick to simple formatting. Use standard fonts like Arial or Calibri and avoid tables and columns, and keep it to one page if you're a fresher. And number 3, avoid common mistakes like typos, generic resumes, or unnecessary personal details. Keep your resume clean, concise, and tailored for each role. And before you submit, you can also do a quick spell check either using Grammarly or even ChatGPT as well. Make sure there are no mistakes. And that's it. Follow these tips, guys, and should definitely start to get some interview call. Now don't forget to download the free resume from the link in this video description, and all the best, guys.